I was on Twitter and I was scrolling through a timeline, not my own, and I came across a former football player's tweet in which he was talking about something called the Rooney Rule. And I can honestly say that I never heard of it until now. And now that I've started to look at it, and you look at this picture on your screen, of course, if you are into football, you recognize one of the faces on there. On the far left, the biggest face up there is Mike Tomlin, who, of course, is the coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers and has been for quite some time. I've actually said that if they ever made a movie about the Pittsburgh Steelers in recent years, get Omar Epps to play Mike Tomlin, because I couldn't see anybody else playing him just on likeness alone. But that was just me. But that was a little bit off subject. But I just wanted to throw that in there. So they mentioned something called the Rooney Rule, and they were basically saying how it was bullshit and everything like that. But I said, let me go ahead and look this up to see why this person said the Rooney Rule was bullshit. And I can honestly say that I can agree with what this person said. Now, it should kind of stick out to you where I'm headed with this, because you see this picture, and these are black coaches for the NFL past and present. And basically what the Rooney Rule is it's almost like the NFL's version of quote unquote affirmative action. And when I was looking it up, basically the Rooney Rule is something that was put into place by the NFL where they are required to interview at least one quote unquote minority. Those are their words, not mine. One quote unquote minority per season for a high ranking job, such as a head coach or some kind of senior executive position. Now you have to really pay attention to words. It says that they are required to interview at least one quote unquote minority per season for a high ranking position. It didn't say that they had to give them the job or they had to hire them, even if they are more than qualified for the position over maybe their white counterpart. All they had to do was interview them. And when I sat there and thought about it for a little bit, I said, how much you want to bet that many jobs in corporate America operate under that same rule, where all they have to do is interview a few quote unquote minorities or non-white people, especially black people, but they don't have to hire them. All they have to do is say, we interviewed this person, but we don't have to hire them. It just said we had to interview them. Because every job, no matter what, has a quota to fill by various demographic breakdowns, whether it be age, gender, race. It's usually those three that factor in. So when I saw that, I said, that Rooney Rule probably does apply to other jobs. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and read a piece of this article that's coming from Forbes that was actually posted back in 2018 that's going to go into a little bit more detail about the Rooney Rule. It says the Rooney Rule is a policy in the NFL that states all teams are required to interview at least one minority candidate for head coaching and senior football operation openings. The independent group tasked with monitoring this policy is the Fritz Pollard Alliance, which advocates for diversity and job equality. Now, the reason why they call it the Fritz Pollard Alliance is because it's named after, it's either one or maybe two, but I think it's one person with the same name who was the first black NFL coach. So they named it after that person. Many speculated that Mark Davis, principal owner of the Oakland Raiders, violated league policy and circumvented the Rooney Rule when he hired coach John Gruden. According to USA Today, the Raiders officially hired Gruden as head coach on January 6th, but during the introductory news conference, owner Mark Davis said he reached an agreement with Gruden over dinner on December 24th. The team hadn't conducted an interview with any minority candidates at that point. The Raiders said they interviewed a few minority candidates for the opening, but critics say it only took place after Mr. Davis reached an agreement with Gruden. The NFL has since concluded the Raiders did not violate the Rooney Rule, though the Fitz-Pollard alliance disagrees. John Gruden is viewed by many as football royalty. He checks off all the boxes as a candidate and is rightfully an excellent hire. As a recruiter, I fully agree with Mr. Davis's decision and his technique in hiring a passive candidate to lead his organization. On the other hand, as a diversity recruiter and an African American, I'm disappointed by this situation. Across all sectors and industries, those of us in a position of influence in the recruiting and hiring cycle must adhere to the rules and regulations in place to prevent hiring discrimination. This is accomplished by following the processes in place to the letter of the law in accordance with the rules at hand. And that's pretty much all I'm going to read right there as it pertains to the Rooney Rule. But that's basically what it is. It's just that they have to interview people who are non-white, or they can say, let's just say black, for a position, but they don't have to actually hire them. Now you see why throughout the NFL's history, why there aren't that many black coaches. We already know there are no black owners. They're not going to let you get that daggone high up, even if you have the capital to purchase a team, which is definitely well over $1 billion. And according to this other article I've just pulled up, it says that the Rooney Rule was established in 2015. So basically, they just says that it's an example of affirmative action, as there is no quota or preference given to minorities in the hiring of candidates. So like I said, all they have to do is just interview you. That's it. All they have to do is interview you. They don't have to actually hire you, even if you are qualified for the position. I'm glad I actually found this out, because this is something that they don't talk about often, especially for something that's been around since 2013. So you're talking about something that's been around for about 17 years? So it makes you wonder what the gap was between the different black coaches from before that time and after that time. Like, what was the gap as far as hiring black coaches going forward? But like I also said, how much you want to bet that a lot of corporate America jobs use this same rule? They probably don't call it that, because I'm sure that the NFL has this trademark to only be used by them. But I'm almost certain that many jobs in America probably use the same exact tactic to an extent, especially when it comes to maybe like some of those Fortune 500 companies. But I'm glad that I actually found this out. But I'm going to let y'all discuss that down in the comments. I want y'all to tell me, were you aware of this rule existing? How does that make you feel? I can almost imagine how it makes you feel, but I just wanted to ask that. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and click the bell on my Twitter page so you can be notified when I upload a new video. And I will talk to you in the next one.